Hello, children. Welcome to the second session. And we just saw how to transform a text from one tense to another tense. Okay, that is this Juno elephant. That exercise is available in our text. This is a very good exercise for mastering tenses. Sometimes you will find 20 sentences in simple present tense. You can take it, you can just change all the 20 sentences from simple present to simple past, or from past to present, or simple present to present continuous tense. For example, I give a mango, I am giving a mango. She sings well, she is singing well. This is transformation from present tense to continuous tense, like that. And similarly, you can take 10 sentences in simple present tense and you can convert into interrogatives. You can convert into negatives. So this is a very good practice for fluency of language. Okay, you can take any book. For example, uh, I mean, PEG, Practical English Grammar. Practical English Grammar is market. It's available in the market. You can you have got lot of exercises there, and take an exercise and you can transform like this. It's a kind of very good practice. Your textbook also this time, your textbook actually has got a very good get up this time. Lot of very good exercises, creative exercises are there. For example, this Juno exercise, elephant, simple present tense to past tense. And here also the slide you just see now, sentences for situations. This is also taken from your textbook only. Say, two instructions to your classmates. Okay, two instructions to your classmate. This is a language function. Instead of teaching grammar, this is language function. What is the use of language? To give instructions to your classmates. Okay, two instructions to your classmates. For instruction, what type of sentence you use? Imperative. So without using imperative, you are using imperative for giving instruction. The use of imperative is to give instruction. Wait for me, that is an instruction. Don't talk like that, that is a negative instruction. Okay, and then to request your classmates or friends. To request means use of please. That is language function. Language use. It is not grammar, it is use. How will you request your classmate or your friend for an offer? Please teach me this sum. Please give me water. Teach and give. Two verbs in simple present tense for using for request, for making a request. And then two discontinued habits. Two discontinued habit. That is habit in the past. Habit in the past, not habit in the present. Immediately, one of the 13 modal auxiliaries should come to your rescue. What is that? Used to. Used to means past habit, not present habit. My father used to take me to the beach till 2015. So till 2015, that was an occurrence, that was an event, but now it is no more an occurrence. Okay. My father used to take me to the beach till 2015 means my father is not in the habit of taking me to the beach now. Okay. That is, he has stopped to take me to the beach now. That is the meaning. One more example. People used to walk a lot once upon a time. Now, scooter, car, etc., etc. People don't walk a lot nowadays. That is the meaning. Okay, people used to walk a lot once upon a time. And then two dreams. Okay, two dreams. The in the correct tense forms. Okay, in the correct T is missing there. Two dreams in the correct tense forms. I wish you were my brother. She wishes that the car belonged to him, belonged to you. She wishes the car belonged to you. Here the tense consequence, you cannot find out. You cannot justify the tense here. I wish you were my brother. She wishes that the car belonged to you. That means, I wish you were my brother. நீ என் பிரதரா இருந்தா அவ்வளவு நல்லா இருக்கும். She wishes the car belonged to you. The car உனக்கு இருந்தா எவ்வளவு நல்லா இருக்கும். These are all wishes. These are all hypothetical tense. Here, you cannot find any reason, any rhyme like that. Okay? And then now on 20th, if I'm right, 20th you are going to have the first unit test. Okay? That unit test actually, it is first unit only. First unit means you have one prose lesson, one poem, and one supplementary reader. Okay, you know the titles also. His first flight, that is the title of the lesson, prose lesson, and then life, that is the title of the poem, and then supplementary reader, Shakespeare's The Tempest, that is the third lesson, supplementary reader. For one prose lesson, one poem, one supplementary. His first flight, life, The Tempest. So these three lessons, you have to learn, and there will be a test, and the test duration of the test will be 1 hour and 30 minutes. Your director might have informed you about the timing and all, and the total number of maximum marks 50, and the duration is 1.5 hours, and the pattern of the question paper slightly changed here because you got only one unit. Okay, one unit means three lessons. Three lessons means one prose lesson, poetry, and then one supplementary. Totally in the normal question paper, 47 questions will be there. Here it is not going to be like that. We are going to skip some of the items because the duration is cut short by 1 hour. It's only 1.5 hour test actually. You can just see the first question, synonyms and antonyms. Usually in the normal paper, 14 items will be there. 14 1-mark questions will be there. But here we are going to have only 9 marks. That is synonyms 3 and antonyms 3. All synonyms and antonyms taken from the first unit, his first flight. Okay, so for 6 marks. And as usual, synonym will not be given as word by word. So context will be there. Each context will be followed by in one sentence, the target word will be in the italicized form, followed by options. 4 options will be there, A, B, C, D, and you have to identify the right synonym and similarly the right antonym. So 6 marks. First 2 questions. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Synonyms and antonyms, 6 questions. And then tenses, phrasal verbs, plural form. For tense, 1 mark, and then phrasal verb, 1 mark, plural form, 1 mark. Plural form in the sense, a word will be there. Word means noun only. Only noun can take plural form. Therefore, a noun will be there, and followed by 4 options. You have to identify the right plural form for the word given. Okay, so that is 3 marks, and then followed by short answer type. That is very brief answers. From prose, 3 questions will be there. From poem, 3. And the nature of questions, prose lesson, 3 direct questions, WH questions will be there. And for poem, lines will be there. Lines will be taken from the poem. Okay, and followed by 2 questions. The questions will be paraphrasing, like paraphrasing. So 3 plus 3, 6 questions will be there. And in the normal question paper, 4 questions will be given. You will have to write 3. But here 3 out of 3. There is no choice for third question. Prose, 3 questions will be given. You will have to attempt all the 3 questions. Similarly, poem also. So 6 and 12 marks. And then voice and punctuation. Voice, okay. For voice, sentences will be there. You will have to transform active to passive or passive to active. And then punctuation will be there. Here, for voice and Yeah. Here you have got a choice for voice and punctuation. 3 questions will be there. You'll have to attempt 2 only. Okay, 2 voice questions and 1 is punctuation, and you have to write only 2. And then next, um, paragraph question. Paragraph, that is answer will be in paragraph, and the limit will be 10 lines. Limit will be 10 lines only. 10 lines means just 3/4 of the A4 page. Don't write more than that. 10 means maximum 1 page, that's all. And that too, 10 to 20 lines can be written. Then 20 lines can be, that is a normal writing. So 3/4 of the page, that is enough for you. For paragraph question, but 2 questions will be given from prose. You'll have to write 1 out of 2. 2 questions will be there from prose. You'll have to write answer 1 question. And then for coming to poetry, you have got 2 questions and 1 question direct question. The second question, lines will be there taken from poetry, followed by 4 questions. Okay, you'll have to attempt that. That is a choice for you. That is internal choice. And the next one, rearrangement of sentences. That is from supplementary reader. Supplementary reader, rearrangement of sentences. Okay, just the last lesson, the Tempest, the last class, we learned that also. Some 10 sentences were there in the prose, the textbook. We dealt with that. So rearrangement of jumbled sentences. And then that is either supplementary reader, A is arrangement of jumbled sentences, or B is comprehension. Comprehension is a passage from text will be there, followed by questions. 5 questions. You'll have to answer 5 questions. So whether arrangement of jumbled sentence or comprehension, that is internal choice. And the next one, quote from memory. Quote from memory from life poem. You'll have to write 5 sentences. And then correction of sentences, 5 questions. Correction of sentences, 5 sentences will be there. That's grammatically. Grammatical sentences will be there will be incorrect sentences will be there. You'll have to identify the mistake in the sentence and you have to rewrite correctly, for which another 5 marks. So this is the pattern of the question paper. Okay, and write neatly. I told you how to perform well under the caption. We discussed a lot of things. Apply your common sense and write sensibly and without corrections. And you are going to write lot of unit tests in this center. So each and every test, you have to improve. The presentation is more important than your preparation. Your preparation, and more than that, your presentation of what is asked, that is should be presented neatly, sensibly. Okay, that will fetch you the maximum marks. Now a kind of a revision I am going to make after this pattern of the question paper. I told you his first flight, that is a unit 1, that is a prose lesson. Liam O. Flaherty is the author. And what is the theme of the story? You will remember about the seagull. Okay, a family of seagull birds, a family of seagull birds has 4 newly hatched birds. I think you remember that. 4 birds, 3 brothers and 1 sister, father, mother. 4 plus 2, 6 members are there. 3 brothers and 1 sister. The resting place, the nest like, the resting place of the birds was a ledge. You remember the word ledge. Ledge is a box like thing. Okay, ledge. It was on the steep side of a tall cliff. You remember the word, how I just defined. See the words carefully. Steep side of a tall cliff, and far below was the great expanse of sea. Okay, this is very important. Without the use of words like steep, tall, cliff, expanse, you cannot describe the particular place where the birds are hatched. That is very important. These are all not normal words. So you have certain things you have to remember. steep side of a tall cliff, and far below was the great expanse of sea. Certain things you can memorize also. And then, except the young seagull, his two brothers and one sister had already flown away. That is a crucial situation. Four birds were hatched. Three birds had already left the place, leaving alone one bird that happened to be the young bird. The young bird was not able to leave the ledge for want of courage and confidence. The young seagull could not do so for want of courage and confidence. That means this is not a lesson about seagull. This is not very important. Through this lesson, the author tries to teach us something special, that is, without courage, without confidence, you cannot develop in future. You cannot elevate yourself. Okay, your status and station should improve, means you should have courage, you should have confidence. So this is a kind of a very wonderful situation. Through this situation, the author tries to display life, what life should be. Without courage, confidence, the bird suffered quite a lot. Okay, and also the mother's responsibility also it is there. The mother's response, the first half, the suffering of the bird. The second half, the mother's teaching, the responsibility. That is the two parts actually. This is okay. And then the rest of the story reveals how the mother bird takes great efforts in making the bird finally fly successfully. Okay. This is the mother's responsibility. The mother bird takes great efforts painstakingly. Okay, more than the father bird, the mother bird takes great efforts in making the bird finally fly successfully. The story begins with the young seagull alone in the ledge, totally disturbed, alone and unhappy. The bird is totally disturbed, physically as well as mentally and psychologically disturbed, alone and unhappy. But finally, we see the whole family on sea enjoying the company of one another. So this is the climax. This is the development of a story. The story begins a sad note and but ends in a happy note. You understand that? These are all something you have to understand. Externally, within the lesson you read something, and after reading the lesson totally you should arrive at something, and this is that something. Okay, the story begins, the whole the, the divided family we see. The ledge actually we see only one bird, not the mother bird, not the father bird, not the other siblings, only one bird, and left alone, sad and affected, disturbed. All the other birds on sea, father mother bird are outside. But finally, when the story ends, we find all the 4 plus 2, 6 birds on the surface of sea enjoying one another's company. Okay. Next. Okay. Yes. And vocabulary, we can concentrate on vocabulary because uh, 3 synonyms and 3 antonyms. In 3 plus 3, 6 words are there. Vocabulary test is 6 marks. 6 is 6% out of 100. No, 6% is substantial. Okay. Therefore, you can concentrate on vocabulary, and vocabulary will help you also in future to increase, to enrich your vocabulary. It is, you will be able to speak fluently and meaningfully. Therefore, you can concentrate on learning vocabulary through lessons and poems. Now, vocabulary, ledge is a hole or shelf, and brink, came to the brink. The bird came up to the brink, but could not muster the strength, muster the courage. The word brink is edge. Expanse means area. Flapped means spreading the wings, flapping the wings. And then muster means gather or collect. Plunge means dip and fall below. Desperate means hopelessness. Devour means swallow. Plateau means the geographical area. It's a flat land plateau. between two mountains, just like a valley. And then ascending means soaring up, going up, rising. Antonym is descending, ascending, descending, rising, falling, going up, going down, like that. And blazing, sun is blazing, blazing of the sun, shining of the sun. Daintily, it's a very good word. Daintily, it's delicately, in a sophisticated, in a soft manner, delicately. Opposite to coarsely or roughly. Okay. And then scrap means piece, scrap of food, scrap of fish was not available in the ledge for the lone bird. Okay, scrap. And the scrap as a noun, it is piece. And the scrap can be used, has been used in the lesson as a verb also. Scrapped the beak this way and that way. Okay, scrapped, that is I mean bringing something into contact, that is scrapping. And then hump means a mound, raised part, that is hump. And the preening means a cleaning, preening of the feathers, cleaning of the feathers. Precipice means a steep side, no, precipice, steep side of the cliff or mountain. And then pretend means pretension, that is acting. Swoop means flying up, swoop means fly, sudden flying. Amuse, amusement, amusedly, interestingly. Soar means rise, ascend, going up. Mock means ridicule, make somebody fun of, mockingly. The word is mockingly in the lesson is used mockingly. Still means motionless, still. He stood still without, without knowing what to do. Still means motionless, static, not dynamic, okay, not moving. Plaintively, it's a good word. Plaintively, sadly, opposite cheerfully. Wet means sharpen. Wet means sharpen. And gnaw, G is silent there. Gnaw means biting. Gnaw is biting. And then limp. Limp means limping means loose and is loose. That is the leg. The legs were loose for the bird actually. When the bird was falling down, the legs were limp, loose. It is LOOSE. It is not LOSE. LOSE means losing. Okay, gaining, opposite of gain, lose. Here, stiff and straight, that is opposite. Antonym for limp is stiff and straight. The legs were not stiff and straight. As far as this lesson is concerned, the first flight, 10 more question. The lone seagull suffering in the ledge. That is the first part. Okay, they may ask a question like that. 10 more question. Sorry, 10, so 5 mark and 2 questions will be there. The 10 line question, 10 lines. The lone seagull suffering in the ledge. Okay, and the lone seagull, it is not in the company. The bird is left alone there. Therefore, 10 lines you have to write, for which 5 marks. Answer. 4 born at a time. What you have to develop? These, based on these lines, hints you have to develop. Okay, you need not prepare anything. If you just listen to this class, that will be enough for you for the preparation for the first unit test. 4 born at a time. 3 already left the ledge. Location of the ledge, I told you, that is stiff, steep side of the mountain. Location of the ledge. Many vain attempts to fly. The bird makes attempts, but it goes to the brink but returns. Preventing factors. What are the preventing factors for the bird? That is fear, want of courage, and confidence. And then loneliness and acute hunger. The bird is suffering from loneliness and acute hunger, starvation. And tempting herrings caught and eaten by his siblings. Where are the siblings? His siblings. Siblings are on the expanse of water. They are catching herring and they are eating, okay, very happily. And this helplessness of the seagull witnessed by his anxious mother. The mother actually, she is not partial, okay? She is not partial. She wants everybody, every of, I mean, the seagull, the young seagull also should join them. So she is anxious about it. So these are the hints which can be developed by way of answer to the question, the lone seagull suffering in the ledge. That is the experience of the lone seagull, the first part of the story. Second one, explain the end of the game. The end of the game, that is the end of the story. Okay, I have just used different words. A sad moment for the lone seagull. Extreme starvation is the motivation and provocation. Okay, day by day, moment by moment, that hunger increases. Okay, that loneliness. Extreme starvation is the motivation, and slowly it becomes a provocation, instigation. The bird's fear slowly disappears. Fear going to the background. Okay, in the foreground, somehow that we have to fly. The bird's fear slowly disappears and gains some kind of courage. This is well utilized by the mother bird, which is who is very intelligent. Displays a piece of fish. That is a beautiful technique strategy of the mother bird. Actually, the mother bird is not giving the fish spoon feeding. Okay, if spoon feeding is there, the bird will never leave the ledge. Therefore, displays, shows a piece of fish before the starving seagull, withdraws the fish at the right moment, okay, at the brink, at the right moment, making the seagull fall in the space, automatically flapping. That the bird's wings, spread the wings, and instinctive flapping of the wings saves the bird from falling headlong into the sea. Okay, so this these hints can be developed by way of answer to the second part of the story. The story can be divided into only two parts. Number one, number two. That's all. And certain coming to this poem, certain words and phrases explained. Life from year to year. That is a phrase taken from the poem. What is the meaning of life from year to year? Life not partially or incomplete, but a full life. Okay, life from year to year, complete life, entire life. That is the meaning of year to year. With forward face, what is the meaning? With the forward face, the poet wants to lead the life with the forward face. That is with courage and confidence. He doesn't want to have a downward face, but a forward face. Unreluctant soul. Reluctant means not willing. Unreluctant means willing. A mind with willingness. That's how he wants to travel and enjoy the experience of life. Not turning from the goal. I don't want to go away from the goal. I have one aim, one goal, one desire, and the challenges I would like to face. No diversion, no deviation. I have single aim and single goal. I will reach the destination. That is his aim. And then, nor holding back in fear. That is no retreat, no going back from the destination. Courage of the quest. Quest means search. Here, courage for the complete mission. Life journey. Life is a journey. You travel it, irrespective of ups and downs, irrespective of challenges. You travel and reach the destination. Road's last turn. These are all the phrases coming in the poem. Road's last turn. Life is full of challenges. A road full of twists and turns. These are all certain words and phrases which you have to use. Okay, which you have to use. Don't follow any notes abruptly. Sorry, blindly don't follow. Okay, use read source materials, but you select your own. That's how you develop your language. The last chance in one's life may bring the best. Okay, the road's last turn. That what is the meaning? The last chance. First chance, chance number one, chance number two, chance number seven, chance number 17 may fail. Okay, may not bring the result, but don't lose hope. The last chance in one's life may bring the best, and you will be elevated to top immediately all of a sudden. And then unit 1, poem, life. This is the type of questions for poetry. Prose direct questions will be there. Okay, poetry questions will be like this only. Two lines taken from the poem followed by two questions. Let me but live my life from year to year with the forward face and unreluctant soul. Green lines are taken from original poem and followed by A question and B question. A question: whom does the word me refer to? Let me but live my life. That is the word me. Your answer should be like this, very brief. Your answer should be like this. The word me refers to the poet Henry Van Dyke in particular and everyone in general. It is not applicable to poet only. It is applicable to everybody because through poem he wants to teach a lesson, okay, to everybody. So the word me refers to the poet Henry Van Dyke in particular and everyone in general, everybody in general. Okay, and then next question: what kind of life does the poet want to lead? The poet wants to lead a life of advancement. Life of advancement equivalent for forward phase. Progress with the willingness. Willingness, unreluctant soul. Okay, I have paraphrased unreluctant soul as progress with the willingness. You can, in the equal effect, you can also find out some other words which will be maybe more appropriate. Okay, and then second question, original lines, two lines: not hurrying to, nor turning from the goal, not mourning for the things that disappear. Okay, why do you think the poet? All these questions, 7 questions taken from the your textbook only. I have given answer, a model answer. I have written for you. The same model, you can just cultivate the habit of writing your answers. The poet wants to cherish every moment of his life. Hence, he is not in a hurry. Why do you think the poet is not in a hurry? Because he wants to enjoy every moment of his life. Therefore, he is not in a hurry. Next question B. What should one not mourn for? Okay. What should one not mourn for? Not mourning for the things that disappear. One should not mourn for the past sad moments and spoil the present. In the name of past, you don't spoil the present life. Number 3, in the dim past, nor holding back in fear from what the future wails, but with a whole unhappy heart that pays its toll to youth and age and travels on with the cheer. 4 lines taken from the poem, followed by 2 questions. What does the poet mean by the phrase in the dim past? Dim means not clear. Okay. Here in this context, the poet means forgettable and distant remote past. That is the meaning. Okay. Dim past means gone are the days, past days. Is the poet afraid of future? No. The poet is not at all worried about future. The poet is not at all worried about future. To him, thoughts about future should not disturb the present life. Okay. In the name of future, what will be future? Okay. The idea about future should not spoil your present life. So enjoy present life, ignoring future happenings. Number C, how can one travel on with cheer? Forget the past miseries. Don't worry about future events. Live the present life. Live the present happily and wholeheartedly from young age to old age. That is very important. From young age to old age. All days are same. Okay, it's not being cheerful in young and being sad in the old age. Okay. And then fourth question. So let the way wind up the hill or down, up the hill or down, over rough or smooth, the journey will be joy. Still seeking what I sought when but a boy, new friendship, I adventure and a crown. Crown means victory. Okay, don't forget it. How is the way of life? Life is a mixture of joys and sorrows. These are all my lines. Okay, try to write in those lines. Ups and downs, sometimes rough, sometimes smooth. These are all my sentences. Try to follow. How should be the journey of life? Despite of all change challenges, life should be joyful and exciting. And last one, what did the poet seek as a boy? When he was a boy, he was looking for new friends. He was looking for adventures. He was looking for victory. Whether it is new friendship or new adventures, Victory is the final desire. Next. Fifth question. My heart will keep the courage of the quest and hope the road's last turn will be the best. What kind of quest does the poet seek for? Seek here. A quest means search. Okay. A quest that will fulfill his dreams and desires. He has some dreams. He has some desires, destination. That is his quest. What is the poet's hope? The poet always hopes for better days and better future. This is positive thought and optimism. This is positive thought. What is the poet's hope? Always hopes for better days and better days. Last turn will be the best. 6-1. The dim past are holding back in fear from what the future wails, but with a whole unhappy heart that pays its toll to youth and age and travels on with a cheer. Identify the rhyming words, fear and cheer, whole and toll. Last one, let me but live, etc., etc. Identify the rhyme scheme of the given lines. Last words in all 4 lines, year, soul, goal, disappear. Therefore, the first line, year. Fourth line, disappear. So, year, appear. Soul, goal. Therefore, the rhyme scheme is A, B, B, A. Okay. Answer in about 80 to 100 words. Describe the journey of life as depicted by Henry Van Dyke. That is the end of this poetry question. Poetry section. Phrasal verbs I have given some for examples. Give up, point out, bring up, look into, bring up, put off, turn down, account for, hold up, bring about. These are all 10 phrasal verbs taken from grammar book. And third one and fifth one, bring up, to bring up, but different context. Example, no one brought up that question so far. There, the meaning of bring up is raise. No one raised that question so far. Fifth sentence, bring up, the parents brought up the child carefully. Here, the meaning of brought up is raised. R-A-I-S-E-D. The parents raised the child carefully. That's growing. Put off, postpone, turn down, refuse, account for, explain, hold up, check, bring about, achieve. And then identify and the correct errors. You may speak politely to the elders. You should speak politely to the elders. This is the boy. This is the boy who won the race. This is the boy who won the race. He comes late to school every day. He comes. Though he was hungry, he did not eat. No, but. Is this the book that you wanted to buy? Definite article. The. As the child fell down, it started crying. No, so no two conjunctions. No, it's not necessary. He is an honest man. Neither the secretary nor the manager was or is available. Okay. 9. One of the chairs is broken, not are broken, because one is important there. The cat drinks milk, not the cat drink milk. Okay. And I wish you all the best. Write the test well. We meet you in the next session. Thank you very much.